Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and that sure escalated quickly, didn't it? Just yesterday, I put out a video where I was talking about price, yesterday morning, actually, and at that time, Bitcoin was, I don't know, somewhere that it was 37,000 and something, before the massive pump, which I'm assuming at this point everybody's aware of. It was maybe, I don't know if it was an hour or two after I put out that video, it started pumping, and the video, the title was that, and it was what analysts, I said, were discussing, is that there is in the near term, not that we knew it was going to happen quite that quickly, but there's going to be a massive impulse to the upside. Analysts were expecting that, and some thought there might have been a pullback, but prior to that happening, some of them thought it was just going to shoot from there. And it sure as hell, at least at this point, it is shot up incredibly quickly. It's just crazy. And so there's been a ton of chatter. Lots of people are understandably excited, market sentiment improving. And so I was reading a bunch of threads over the course of the last, over 24 plus hours, frankly. And there's even somebody who was back around during the last market cycle. I'm not sure who it was. It's just something that popped in my head now. But this individual was talking about how things can happen really quickly in crypto. And he was citing XRP's bull run, the last market cycle, when it ran from in roughly mid-December. Over the course of 2.5 weeks, it ran from, about 20 cents up to almost $4. And this guy was saying he remembers a time as it was on its path to close to $4, where XRP was at, I think he said like $1.71. And then it jumped up to, I can't remember the exact figure he said, it may have been somewhere around $2.50, so for maybe like $1.71 if memory serves, all the way up to $2.50 in 40 minutes. And so you can sit here and wallow in your pain as XRP and most cryptos trade sideways for most of the time they exist. So it's mostly downwards action and sideways price action. I get it. But then when it goes, it just goes and it happens quickly. Think about that. $1.71 to somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe $2.50 in 40 minutes. And they're like, oh yeah, it is possible. But see, that's why you need to realize before it happens that those movements are possible. It never made any damn sense to be fearful despite volatility, even if entering a bear market. And I'm not saying that we're entering a crypto bear market at all, but I'm saying even if, it still wouldn't matter. There's so much opportunity here. So I want to share with you perspective from a number of individuals within the space because it's just a happy day. Price is up. It's good to see people feeling better, including the lemmings out there. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. XRP at the time I record this, 67 cents. Bitcoin, 41,471. Market cap for the asset class, 1.92 trillion, and Bitcoin dominance at 40.77%. For those of you looking at the screen, take a look at this. I've got the top 10 cryptos by market cap on your screen right now on Live CoinWatch's website. Look at the weekly chart. It's worth pointing out. I like to do this from time to time. If you set aside the two stable coins in the top 10, which would be Tether and USDC, the other 8 coins have charts that look identical. These are the same damn chart. If I just showed you this without the name of the crypto associated with it, you could guess that it's a chart for any of those 8 cryptos, and you'd be right. It's the same thing. There's barely any difference. Isn't that astonishing? And so in a world where the market is clearly tethered together and fundamentals do not sufficiently matter, why is anyone worried about whether or not XRP is inevitably going to pop? This is still how the market is behaving after over a decade of being in existence, and there's no sign of that changing. And the first sign that we'll have of that potentially changing won't occur, I believe, until there's a bear market, because you need that calm this moment, which is not here when people are feeling much happier after a burst to the upside. But within the last 24 hours, XRP was as high as 69 cents. Bitcoin got as high as 41,904. So not looking too bad. Over most of the last 24 hours, though, after that massive burst, it's mostly been sideways action. So it'll be interesting to see what occurs. But here's the Crypto Fear and Greed Index, 33 out of 100, indicating that market participants, yes, they're still in fear, but yesterday they were in extreme fear at 20 out of 100. So to go from 20 out of 100 to 33 out of 100, I'm happy because I don't enjoy these lovable little cuddly lemmings out there, the typical retail speculators. I don't enjoy them suffering. I just know that they're torturing themselves. They're doing this to themselves, and knowing that they're feeling less like that today makes me feel very good inside. I want to share with you this tweet from my fellow XRP YouTuber Kevin Cage because it definitely resonated with me. And he wrote the following, and especially on a day like today, and considering what happened yesterday, it's worth heeding the wisdom within this tweet. And he wrote, "Don't be that guy that only believes in your asset when it pumps. Those people like to buy an asset right after good news. The money is made believing in something before the majority. Waiting for pullbacks or crashes to enter is best. Odds are that you aren't buying the bottom. Exactly. And so I've long said that. The goal should not to be to buy the very bottom. It shouldn't be to sell the top, because you don't have like superhuman abilities. You cannot do that. Almost 0% of humans end up buying or selling the bottom or top. Like, it's not how this works. It's not worth even trying to do that. Just understand that and then buy accordingly. That's why I always think that dollar cost averaging makes the sense. That's what makes the most sense. That's why I've done it. I did for years, frankly. I'm not currently purchasing cryptocurrency. I've got, my bags are packed. Okay, let's just say that my bags are certainly packed. But it is true that believing in something before the majority does, like, that's kind of required. So like, just like having the confidence that XRP will, and for a number of rational reasons, that XRP will ultimately hit its all-time high in enterprise discovery. It makes sense to recognize that before we get anywhere near those levels, because at that point you're only going to get a small multiplier effect. And so I'm not making a price prediction. I'm not guaranteeing anything. It's not financial advice, but that's what I personally believe, and that's why I've been in XRP since November of 2017, and I bought it at quite a number of different price points. I bought it at 55 cents. I bought it at 15 cents. I bought it at 25 cents. Everywhere in between I bought it. And I think my average price, my average buying is probably, and I never actually went back to calculate this, but I have a strong suspicion that it's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 cents. Super duper. Fantastic. So I'm in it. Over the course of the last market cycle, that's a reasonable entry price. I'm in it, and it just speaks to the degree to which I have conviction about this, that the market moves in tandem. And if fundamentals magically start mattering to people, then I'm covered there too, because XRP's got fundamentals in spades. I don't want to read this article, but I just wanted to highlight it. It's good. I enjoy seeing headlines like this. This one happens to be from investing.com. XRP climbs 10% as investors gain confidence. There's no shortage of articles like this today, and yesterday, frankly. And in fact, at one point, XRP was up somewhere in the neighborhood of like 15%, so not too shabby. Here's a tweet from my fellow XRP YouTuber, the Blockchain Backer. I'll make this full screen while I read it. He wrote, "I suspect at some point Bitcoin will break away from this thing, but until it does, I keep an eye on it. There was no double bottom yet, as previously done, but you can see where we're at." And so what's he talking about here? Well, he's got an overlay. So the line here that's a mixture of red and green, which stops right where he circled here, that's the current timeline where Bitcoin price is at. And then this nothing but green line here that's overlaid, that's showing Bitcoin price action. I don't remember the exact timeline. I've talked about it on the channel before. I think it was at some point starting at some point, maybe like the first quarter of 2018, if memory serves. But the point is, this chart structure, this exact chart structure, the Blockchain Backers highlighted, we've seen this before. And so is it a coincidence that humans are behaving the same as they did in the past just a couple years or so ago, a few years ago? Well, to this point, it's being played out. Not that it's going to stay like this exact formation forever, which is what the Blockchain Backer notes here, but if this is going to continue playing out, at some point in the not too distant future, there will be another leg down, which actually a lot of analysts have been saying to watch out for at some point. But it's just interesting to see how humans are doing this. And again, it's not like the fundamentals of Bitcoin changed whatsoever. Humans are just behaving like this because reasons. It's just a bunch of emotions. Isn't that silly to think? Nothing has changed regarding the fundamentals of Bitcoin. The fundamentals were the same when it was 3,200, just the same as they were when it was almost $70,000. And yeah, of course, increased adoption, this and that. But in terms of what it's doing functionally, Layer 1 technology, no changes, really. There really aren't any changes. It's just the humans. Directionally, where are they going? Well, they're sinking their money into it, and for good reason. There are attributes that these cryptocurrencies have, since they're decentralized, that you cannot have, you cannot find it in other assets, and especially not in fiat currencies, that's for sure. Now take a look at this from chart analyst Love Crypto, who wrote, "I think we need one of these big red volume candles to print a solid bottom sometime midterm in Q1 or Q2, in my opinion. Let's see. Please trade safe. It's not the time to get very bullish yet and call for new all-time highs anytime soon, which unfortunately some are calling for." Yeah, so that's true. There are a lot of people, since we had one incredible green day where Bitcoin was up massively, people are calling for all-time highs, but the analysts that I follow are just saying, okay, yeah, directionally, the vast majority are saying, yeah, eventually, but be careful, there could be pullbacks in the short term. And so this is the Bitcoin price chart showing volume at the bottom here, and what he's highlighting here is, as you can see, where the volume ramped up tremendously, that's where these dips were. And he seems to be thinking more likely than not there's going to be another price dip to the downside with another strong volume wick as a result. So we shall see. And then there was this from chart analyst Credible Crypto. He's got two charts. And the first one is Bitcoin. And I guess this would have been what, October, November of 2020. And he wrote the following. Characteristic of a 1-2-1-2 or startup of a new impulse is strong moves up, shallow pullbacks, and continuation. The first chart is from $11,000 to $12,000 before our breakout and run to $60,000. The second chart is now, and what I expect to play out to further confirm our major fifth has started. So this is a Bitcoin chart, and again, this is before Bitcoin rocketed up to over $60,000. It was in the $11,000 to $12,000 range. And now let me flip to the next chart, and you'll see it looks the same. There we go. Here's the current one. This is where we are at right now. So you can see we're hovering around close to $42,000. Structurally looks strikingly similar, doesn't it? So he's just pointing that out and saying that his expectation, even if we see a little bit of downward price action first, is going to be to the upside. And so, folks, where do you think XRP is ultimately going to go? XRP does not follow Bitcoin down to the second, the minute, the day, the week, the month, not even necessarily the quarter, so on and so forth, but it does follow. I don't understand how people cannot believe that XRP at some point will hit its all-time high, given that fundamentals don't matter and the market moves in tandem. It doesn't compute to me. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions. I would say I respectfully disagree. And you know what I see with the people that don't believe that, though? It's not based on any sort of analysis of how the market moves in tandem. It's people getting impatient. Oh, it hasn't done anything, so it probably won't ever again. And so then they want to get out. It makes no rational sense. But again, that's not what markets aren't rational. They're irrational. And so if you can just understand that and then behave different than the lemmings out there, you're a cut ahead, you're a cut above, you're ahead of the game. Take a look at this from chart analyst Peter Brandt. This is a tweet from January 30th, and then I'm going to follow that up with a tweet from just yesterday evening. So the one from January 30th, and by the way, this guy is very famous in the world of crypto in terms of, as far as chart analysts go, 619,000 followers on Twitter. He's very well known for having called the top of the last Bitcoin bull cycle when Bitcoin is up towards 20,000 in December 2017. And he also called the bottom middle of December 2018 when Bitcoin was around 3,200. And so he tweeted out the following January 30th. I find it fascinating that many, not all, on social media who wore laser eyes in March and April and predicted a rocket shot for Bitcoin in November now are predicting that the 30,000 level will be violated, $30,000 level. When bulls wear laser eyes, time to sell. When bulls become bears, time to buy, question mark. And again, this was before we just saw the huge rocket yesterday. And what do we see? What do we see again and again and again? When people get overly optimistic and people have laser eyes and all the celebrities in media are talking about how great Bitcoin is, might things be too heated up? Might the price have run up higher than it should be for that moment in time? Well, typically the answer is yes. And then as price gets suppressed, people think then it's going to go in that direction forever. Directionally, whatever it's going at the moment, the people that don't know what the hell they're doing, they think it's going to go that way forever. And so as Bitcoin was approaching closer to the $30,000 level, got down however low it was, 33, 34,000, whatever it was, they thought it was going to keep going down to $20,000. And not that it was impossible, but we're talking in probability here. In terms of probability, what was likely? As we were looking at on-chain analytics, as I highlighted on my channel, day in, day out, day after day after day, I was like, here's another report. On-chain says it's oversold. Here's another report. On-chain analytics say it's oversold. We're probably near the bottom. And then we saw this burst to the upside. How about that? Now we see the burst to the upside. Now everybody's getting all excited again. It's time to see Bitcoin hit new all-time highs again because that's the direction that it's been going for the last 24 hours. Okay. And so then the tweet yesterday evening Peter Brandt put out, he retweeted that initial tweet from January 30th and he wrote, just as the laser eyes marked the April top and widespread talk of $100,000 marked the November top, so bulls throwing in the towel and predicting $20,000 marked the January bottom for Bitcoin. Oh, isn't that rich though? He's right. That is what indeed has happened. Now take a look at this from TXMC, who was formerly one of the analysts at Glassnode, and he's got his own YouTube channel, Alpha Beta Soup. And so he's pretty well known, I think it's safe to say, and I appreciate his analysis. And on top of that, I've always appreciated Glassnode. I think they do, on the whole, pretty damn good work there. But here's what TXMC tweeted out. February 4th, 2022 ended up being the largest daily percent gain for Bitcoin since just over a year ago. February 8th, 2021, aka the Elon candle. So how about that? And he meant to say just under a year ago, and he corrected that in a separate tweet down here. But yeah, so it's been about a year since that. So yesterday was actually freaking huge, which is why I always say, look, so the market's still in fear despite the fact that we're trending towards greed. At some unknown point in the future, the market will be in extreme greed. Where will you be when that happens? Well, I'll tell you what, at some point, not only will it be in extreme greed, but XRP will be in price discovery, and then I'm going to start to scale out of my position because it will become too great a position relative to the rest of my overall net worth, and I'm going to start scaling out because I don't think it makes sense at that point to have that much invested in one asset. And it's not because it's XRP. I love XRP. In fact, I'm counting on it continuing to run for decades and decades if this adoption continues. But even so, I'm going to get out of it what I personally want to get out of it. And I'm factoring a number of things, including my risk tolerances and the rest of my overall net worth. And so, you know, if it keeps running, and I know I won't be able to sell the top because nobody knows for sure what the top will be for the market cycle, fine. And then I'll wait for a bear market, and then I'll probably going to buy more XRP at that point. I'll start scaling in, just like I did this past market cycle. I didn't know where the bottom was going to be. I didn't know the bottom would be 11 cents in March 2020. So I started buying after it cratered from $4 down to 55 cents. That's when I started buying. And I was able to buy as low as 15 cents. I couldn't quite snag the bottom, which again, it just illustrates nobody knows for sure where the thing's going to bottom. Nobody knows for sure when it's going to top off, which is why scaling out of a position is important, and dollar cost averaging is important. Now, when it comes to scaling out, the blast off part, it's worth being aware of this. If history is going to repeat, it's going to be a very short time period. It may just be 2 or 3 weeks. It was 2.5 weeks roughly last market cycle. So you got 2.5 weeks to scale out before the bubble fully inflates and then pops, and then after that, it's just downward price action on the whole. So there's not much time, which is why for me, once I see this thing bursting, I might just sell, who knows, maybe a little bit every single day. I'll just take a look at the situation. And once it gets, when am I going to start selling? I don't know for sure. Maybe around $5, I'll sell like a little bit, a tiny percentage. And everybody's goals are different. So, you know, you can't make assumptions about how much XRP I hold based on that either, because you don't know what my targets are, and you don't know the rest of my situation financially. And so my goals may be very different than yours. Maybe you're looking to make a way bigger profit from XRP than I am. Who knows? I don't know. Everybody's different, and that's why. That's why one of the many reasons I have no interest in offering financial advice. I just think it's fun to talk about this stuff and hear what other people are doing, and just kind of share thoughts and ideas just as a community. That's what I'm here for. That's the fun part of all this. But it's just a matter of time. It's coming, and I am patient AF. I'm going to outpatient anyone else. I'm telling you right now, and I firmly mean this. I don't feel remotely tired from holding XRP this long. Not even the slightest tinge of impatience for me. And I swear on my life, that is how I feel. Just as confident and excited and optimistic as when I first jumped into crypto. Not impatient in the least, because I'm looking at the overall market structure. I'm looking at how humans behave. I understand all these dynamics. And I see that humans are behaving just like they did last market cycle. I don't think they're going to stop that. They have the same DNA as they did several years ago. They had the same DNA that they had during the dot-com boom and bust. So I'm going to sit here patiently. But XRP, yeah, I believe firmly it's going to have its day. I'll go ahead and wrap up there, though. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.